Hi, Mrs. X. It's so nice to meet you. My name is Jordan. I'm a certified nutrition specialist, and I'm here to help you kind of tackle Addison's from a more natural standpoint. I know that you'd like to kind of stay away from glucocorticoids and corticosteroids, which I totally support. I do, though, want to make sure that you are aware of some of the more acute things that can happen with Addison's disease should things not be treated. Obviously, that it's my job and our job together to not let those things happen, right? But just in case, I just want you to be informed and prepared should you need to be. So this is also something that I'd encourage you to talk to your endocrinologist about, but if left untreated, you can come upon something that is called an adrenal crisis. Now, in Addison's disease, your cortisol is underproducing significantly compared to that of someone who does not have Addison's. And in stressful experiences that require cortisol to mount a defense for your body and for your body to deal with that stress, your body is unable to produce the cortisol that it needs. And so that can cause adrenal atrophy. It could even cause your adrenals to shrink. And it can cause all kinds of other problems in the body. And it can also travel with lots of different other comorbid diseases, like it can travel with type 1 diabetes. It can travel with anemia. It can also be aggravated by these things, stem from these things. It's very multifaceted. Tuberculosis, that's less common, but something we could turn to should we not see the results we want. Hypothyroidism, any type of thyroid disease or dysfunction. Alopecia, lots of other autoimmune diseases such as autoimmune polyendocrine syndrome, gastritis, hepatitis, vitiligo, and celiac disease actually is something that I wanted to make sure we touch on, because even if you don't have celiac, let's say you have non-celiac gluten sensitivity, that can be a huge aggravator, especially for autoimmune disease, just in general. And then we can also have underlying infections that cause, that can be causative in this pathology. So, like I said, tuberculosis is not likely. It's much less common, but it is there. Bacterial infections such as E. coli, fungal infections such as candida, viral infections such as herpes simplex, and then parasitic infections such as toxoplasma. There's a whole list of these that I'll make sure that you get on the way out. But these are just things that we want to test for to make sure that they're not really the underlying agitator, because those things we can fix. Now, going back to the adrenal crisis, if things should be untreated, your cortisol is already low. So, and it's already contributing to your body not being able to do what it needs to do, correct? So think of an adrenal crisis as your body is in excessive stress or in an acute stressful situation that it's not used to, not normal day to day. And because your cortisol levels are so low, you're now in a severe state of lacking cortisol, which can cause life-threatening low blood pressure, low blood glucose, low blood sodium, and high blood potassium. Now, if for some reason you start noticing things like sudden acute pain in your low back, abdomen, or legs, vomiting and diarrhea, extreme and what am I thinking? Extreme and out of the ordinary weakness, like not just fatigue, not just muscle weakness, but like extreme weakness, extreme confusion, or especially loss of consciousness. Obviously, please seek out medical attention, because those are all the main symptoms of adrenal crisis. Now, what we can do, like I said, I don't want you to be afraid of these things, because we're going to treat you in such a way that hopefully this is not something you need to worry about. But it is good for you to know, and I do want you to talk to your endocrinologist about it, because they can prescribe you. Obviously, we don't want to rely on glucocorticoids or corticosteroids day to day. That can cause some nasty side effects. However, in a pinch, if you're having an adrenal crisis, that's an entirely different scenario. So what your endocrinologist can do is they can get you an emergency corticosteroid shot for you to keep with you. And it also comes with an emergency card. And so what that card is going to do is, if you are unable to give this injection to yourself, it is going to be with the injection and allow whoever's with you to read the instructions and correctly administer the corticosteroid to you. And having that with you is just a good safety measure, just to make sure. Just a little bit about kind of how that can develop. Hyperkalemia and hyponatremia are things that kind of play off each other. So hyperkalemia is when there's too much potassium in the blood. And then hyponatremia is when there's not enough sodium in the blood. So sodium and potassium are your main electrolytes, and they help your cells to pump things in and out and to function correctly. And they're very, very important, and they need to be in balance and in sync with each other. Unfortunately, with Addison's, sometimes sodium can be so low that the potassium is too high, or potassium, they play off each other. If one is out of balance, then it can push the other one also. And so hyponatremia, the low sodium in the blood, can cause confusion, fatigue, muscle twitches, and can even cause seizures in acute instances. And then the hyperkalemia, the high potassium, that can cause heart rhythm problems that can be life-threatening. So these are all falling under the category of the excuse me sorry about that, the adrenal crisis. Medications and complications can also increase the risk of osteoporosis, but that is something I think we can really get a hold on. I don't think that's something we need to worry about. I would like to regularly monitor your salt and potassium, though, until we can kind of get until we can get things more under control. Testing. I would like to, as I said, get your height, weight, and BMI. I would like to get your blood pressure today, just because it's typically low in Addison's, and that's something I want to check regularly as well. I would like to run a Dutch test. Now, this is a hormone test, and it's like a full spectrum, so it's going to test your thyroid, which I would like to see, since thyroid diseases tend to run closely with Addison's. So ruling that out would be really nice. Also, it's going to show me your cortisol. It's going to show me your adrenocorticotropin hormone. It's going to show me your aldosterone, your corticotropin releasing hormone, your DHEA, progesterone and progesterone. All these hormones are in crosstalk with one another, or are precursors to one another, and one will help to produce the other. And it's just really important that we kind of get a snapshot of what's going on right now, and what specific pathway or what specific hormone is not producing, or producing excess. Typically, adrenocorticotropin hormone and DHEA typically adrenocorticotropin hormone is very high, and DHEA and cortisol are very low. So I just want to see what we're dealing with, because we can supplement DHEA should we need to, but I don't want to do that until I run the labs. And then lastly, I would like to run an ELISA adrenal antibodies test. Now, this is a test that we can go back to more than the Dutch. So the Dutch is a more expensive test. I'm happy to test it as often as you'd like. However, it can get expensive. So the ELISA adrenal antibodies would be great for us to kind of measure your progress. If we are having high antibodies in this moment, and 2-3 months later we retest and the antibodies are not expressing or dampened, then we know we're on the right track. Some secondary and additional labs that I would like to run include a stool test, a IgG food allergy panel. I would like to run a CBC. I want an iron panel with ferritin. I'd like to rule out some anemias and make sure that we don't have anything going on there. I would also like to test your red blood cell, your erythrocyte minerals, especially magnesium, calcium, and zinc. I would like to test your cholesterol, and as I said, monitor your sodium and potassium. Another one I'd like to see is fasting blood glucose, and your HbA1c and fasting insulin. These can kind of give us, so because Addison's runs with so many other different diseases and dysfunctional pathways, it's important for us to get every aspect of this looked at, because everyone's genetics and epigenetics are different. And so your body's tendency to go maybe towards anemia might be different than, say, another person with Addison's disease who leans more towards parasitic infection in the gut. So it's important to get everything in line. That way we can best help you moving forward. Obviously, these are a lot of tests. If I had to pick, I would really like to see the stool test and the IgG, IgE food allergy first, because those can give us really great indications of if you're having an underlying infection that may be causing your antibodies to flare and aggravating your adrenals, or if we have some food that's aggravating you. Because the treatment for, especially for bacterial, fungal, viral, parasitic type infections, that's going to be an entirely different protocol, and it's going to be a temporary protocol, but we just need to know and rule that out first, in my opinion. But like I said, we will progress with these as you like. And then eventually I would also like to run an organic acid panel, just because it can show a lot of functional markers for things that are typically deficient in Addison's disease, and also kind of give us a snapshot as to, like I said, your epigenetics and what pathways your body is going down and not going down, and how to best support those. So we can look at your methylmalonic acid and your Figlu on the organic acid panel. I know those are kind of wild terms, but those are 2 urinary metabolites that are going to give us a functional reading of your B12 and B9 that we might not get in a red blood cell test of vitamins. It's a little more functional and a little more accurate. Let's see. So dietary, as far as your diet goes, my biggest things are, I want you to stay away from gluten, artificial sweeteners, and added sugar and coffee. Obviously, artificial sweeteners and added sugars are highly inflammatory and terrible for you, and I advise all my clients away from them. However, the gluten in the coffee are really big no-nos, especially. The coffee is going to increase your adrenal stress, and that's exactly what we're trying to not do. So, let's leave that out for now. And then absolutely no gluten. Unfortunately, gluten has a lot to do with autoimmune disease in general, so it's really important that we just kind of nip that in the bud. If you are okay with that, that's great. If you're not, we can run a vibrant wheat panel to kind of show you, we can kind of get a snapshot as to how you react to wheat and all the different peptides, and that can kind of show you how you're reacting. I think that with all the things we need to test, that's probably a waste of money. It's better to just stay away from it altogether, but of course that's up to you. Something that I don't tell most clients, which I am sure will be happy news, is if you're craving a lot of salt and you're feeling lightheaded when you stand up and things like that, and your blood pressure is low, we need to increase your sodium intake. So the best way to do that is to consume either pink Himalayan salt or Celtic salt. So I prefer pink Himalayan salt for you just because the pink Himalayan salt has a little higher sodium content, but they're both fantastic. They're both really clean, and their electrolyte and mineral balance is very similar to that of the human body. So they're going to be really kind to you and help you to stay hydrated, really, and to increase your salt intake in a healthy way. No low sodium salt or salt substitute, no iodized salt, and no processed foods containing high sodium. So no, McDonald's if you can keep from it. No diet meals from the frozen food aisle, like Smart Ones, Healthy Choice. Try to stay away from those. I know they're convenient, but they're full of preservatives and the wrong kinds of salt. So, I also would like to stay away from dairy until we get the IgE back. I know that's not fun, but dairy can be really inflammatory and can cause a lot of problems in autoimmunity. Eventually, once we get you more under control, then we can start, incorporating raw dairy or unpasteurized dairy, and you might have a very positive response. But for now, we need to do no dairy. And then the good things that I'd like to do, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to throw all the no's at you, but the good things to do, we can increase high vitamin C foods like lemons, oranges, and peppers, bell peppers. We can increase high vitamin B foods, so legumes, cauliflower, broccoli, salmon, sweet potato, tomatoes. Those are all going to be fabulous. High magnesium foods, so lots of leafy greens. High zinc foods. I don't know if you're a fan of fish or shellfish, but fatty fish, fatty freshwater fish, wild caught. Oysters and shellfish are also great sources of zinc. Sesame seeds and dark chocolate can also be good sources of zinc. These are all vitamins and minerals that are typically low and deficient in rather high numbers in Addison's disease. So I'd like you to consume foods with these micronutrients, but we're also going to supplement them as well. And then herbal tea. So licorice tea is actually something that's going to be really helpful to you. Licorice also naturally increases blood pressure, but it's also very calming. So it's not stimulating your nervous system in an inflammatory way. It's giving your body the boost it needs. Try to focus on organic and seasonal foods, whole foods from the produce sections, and try to stay away from the bagged and boxed foods on the inner aisles. A great reference you can use is the anti-inflammatory food pyramid. That is kind of a great place to go if you have some extra questions. Obviously, I'm here if you have any questions, but if you're looking for kind of an outside source that's nice for reference, the anti-inflammatory food pyramid is really great. I have seen a lot of good results with recommending that to clients. And then staying hydrated. So this is a little more complicated for you than say someone who doesn't have Addison's disease, just because of the salt aspect. So I would like you to see you drinking coconut water, electrolytes, aloe vera juice, mineral or alkaline water, filtered. But do pay attention again to your salt intake. You can bring a little bottle with you of like little Himalayan salt keep it in your purse. And if you feel lightheaded or you feel off, take a little pinch, mix it in your drink, or season your food a little extra with it if you're out. Whatever you feel, and it should perk you up a little bit. And then lifestyle. Stress management is going to be huge for you. It's huge for most people, but especially for you. You can implement breathing exercises, meditation, yoga, whatever, and if those aren't your thing, fine. Do whatever brings down your stress level and helps you to relax, and that needs to be done regularly. Also, we need to avoid toxic exposures at all costs, because right now your body is not able to deal with those. So no cigarette smoke. Try to stay away from environmental pollutants. These can range from outdoor pesticides to chemicals in your laundry detergent. These things try to cut down on those as much as possible and reduce your exposures to them. And then allergens. So seasonal allergens are a lot harder to avoid, but that's why I'd like to run the IgE test, because food allergens are a lot easier to avoid, and we can really decrease your inflammation by avoiding foods that are causing inflammation in your body. I'd like you to get some sun exposure. I really would like 15 to 30 minutes a day. If you can, first thing in the morning. This is going to help to regulate your circadian rhythm. No blue light or blue light devices 1 to 2 hours before bed, and sleep in a dark room if possible. This is also going to help to regulate your circadian rhythm. But more than that, your cortisol can't produce effectively if you're not sleeping, if you're not resting. So it's really important that we pay attention to your circadian rhythm, because that is kind of the time that your cortisol gets to regulate, if that makes sense. And then gentle exercise 4 to 5 days per week. I know that sounds like a lot. It doesn't need to be for an hour. It doesn't need to be you killing yourself in the gym. In fact, it shouldn't be, because you can overstress your body. So this would be a good time maybe to incorporate some yoga, long walks, light resistance training, nothing too crazy, or hiking, something that's just relaxing but gets your body moving, something that's gentle, something that's not overstimulating the stress in your body or your nervous system in a negative way. And then supplements. As I said, vitamin C and B5 and 6, zinc and magnesium are some of the typical nutrient deficiencies that we see in Addison's disease, so we want to pay special attention to these. For now, since we don't have a lot of lab work on you, I'd like to go on ahead and support you with things that we know to be true are deficient in Addison's, know that can help support your adrenals, but they're not so specialized that we would be maybe risking something, like say with the DHEA supplement. I wouldn't want to put you on a DHEA unless you're truly deficient in DHEA. But if we're going to supplement vitamin C and B5, B6 and some minerals, those are not going to hurt you or cause any side effects. So and most people are deficient in these anyways. Most people who don't have autoimmune disease are deficient in these. So the likelihood of us being right on the money, and if not, maybe not supplementing enough, is pretty high. So starting out with these to just support you in general until we can get more testing back to be more specific is, in my opinion, the place to start. So we have some P5P Plus by Claire Labs. You can get these all up front. I'm going to give you a list and they'll check you out up front. The P5P Plus by Claire Labs, that's going to contain 90 milligrams of B6 and 300 milligrams of magnesium. Typically, it's a lower dose at 1 capsule, but I have you at 3, which will give you the amount that I just stated, just because B5 and B6 are lower in Addison's disease than in most diseases, and so we really need to support them more therapeutically. And then magnesium is at a really even range, and we might bump it up later, but for now 300 is a good starting place. Liposomal vitamin C from Designs for Health. Now, this one does not taste so wonderful, so if you have problems taking it, we can switch you to something else that's pretty good and comparable. But the reason why I want you on the liposomal is because it is higher dose vitamin C that's more absorbable, and it has sodium. A lot of vitamin C supplements have potassium in them, which is obviously not wonderful for you, as people with Addison's tend to have high potassium. So this one contains 260 milligrams of sodium and 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C. So that's kind of right on the money where we want to be. Like I said, if it tastes too bad and you can't keep it up, it's better for you to have the vitamin C than not have it. So please let me know. I would rather you have the vitamin C than have something at home that you're not going to take. Korean ginseng. Now, ginseng, we're going to do a mix, like a complex of adaptogens and herbs for you in another supplement. But as far as ginseng goes, ginseng is a great adaptogen for your adrenals. And I have the standard process liquid bottle for you. You're going to put half a teaspoon in water once a day. And that is really going to help not only support your adrenal system, but reduce stress, and give you energy. So ginseng is kind of like the heavy hitter. So you have some ginseng in your complex, but I'm also going to give you an additional ginseng, which is this Korean ginseng from Standard Process. I just really like their herbs. I think they're right on the money, and I've seen a lot of good results using them. So you should see some very, very good results with that. We are going to supplement a complete amino acid. So Amino Acid Complete by Claire Labs. The reason we're supplementing aminos is because corticotropin hormone contains 41 amino acids, and adrenocorticotropin hormone contains 39 amino acids. So you can kind of see that in order for these hormones to be synthesized and detoxified appropriately, we need a lot of amino acids. So that's going to be a great way to support the production and detoxification of these hormones. Adrenal Flow from Designs for Health. We're going to do 3 caps a day with food. This is your complex. So this is going to have your ginseng, but it's also going to have ashwagandha and rhodiola, and it's also going to have your licorice. So I suggested licorice tea for your diet, but licorice is also, so not only is it going to stimulate your blood pressure to increase in a healthy way, it's also going to be gentle on your digestion. And the reason I have licorice in here for you, besides the increase of your blood pressure, is because I'm putting you on a glandular extract from Claire Labs called Adrenal Cortex. It's going to be 1 cap a day with food. It is a bovine suprarenal cortex, and so this is kind of a building block to rebuild the adrenal glands, but and it's been very successful in clinicals, but it can be hard on the stomach. So licorice is known to kind of soothe the stomach. So if you're going to take the adrenal cortex, you can take the adrenal flow with it, or you can drink licorice tea with it. And those are both going to be helpful and kind of supporting one another. And then the complex, the adrenal flow complex, also has added vitamin C and B2, added B5, B6, which we need. And it's also going to have N-acetyl L-tyrosine. So that is going to support your healthy hormone production as well, and your catecholamine production. And then lastly, zinc supreme. So this one is a zinc complex. So it's has 30 milligrams of zinc, but it also has other micronutrients that are going to kind of help the zinc to be absorbed. So it's got some molybdenum, some taurine, and some malic acid, and then again a little B6, B2, just 5 milligrams, not anything to push you over anywhere near your max dosing. But it's all in all, it's a good amount of B5, B6, zinc, and magnesium. And then you have your adaptogens and your glandular bovine cortex. So these are all going to be really helpful in supporting but also regenerating your adrenals, and you should see a pretty substantial difference in how you feel within the first 1 to 2 weeks if these are all taken together and at the correct dose. I want to follow this diet, lifestyle, and supplement suggestions until we get the Dutch and hormone antibodies test back. I would also like to test the stool and IgG with that. And I would like to do the tests before we start supplementing and change the lifestyle, because I need to get a good baseline of where you're at. If we can do all that, which I know is a lot, that's going to give us a really big picture of where we're going and what we need to do. So when I see you back, we should be able to get the Dutch back in about a month. So I'd like to see you back, let's say tentatively a month. And if for some reason the test isn't back, I will have the office give you a call. But let's say tentatively a month. You can go on ahead and schedule when you pick up your supplements up front, and then we can see if we need to, like we discussed earlier, give the adrenal support a break and focus on a gut healing protocol, or if we need to add some support for but reduce more food exposures that can be causing additional inflammation. These can make a really big impact and can tell us a lot about, like I said, where we're going and where we need to go. So once we get these back and reevaluate at a month, I'd like to follow up again at 2 months after that to retest your adrenal antibodies, unless we need to do a gut protocol. Because if we have to do a gut protocol, then I want to push it another month. So I'll see you at the 3-month mark versus the 2-month. And then if we are still having trouble, I would like to kind of run some more of the additional testing, just to make sure we're kind of hitting it from all angles and adjusting supplements accordingly. But all in all, I think we're at a really good place, and I hope you feel good about it. I feel really great about this protocol. I think it's going to help you a lot, and I'm anxious to see those tests back and see kind of what's really going on. But it was so nice to meet you, and I'll see you in a month.